So welcome everybody to our coding workshop series. This is the last session of our series. This is part 2 on app design. So as normal, I will go to pass it on over to Mr. Kevin Daly.
All right, thank you, Anita. Welcome everybody. Yeah, so we're gonna try and make some apps today, build on what we did before, learn some new kind of tools that are in AppLab. We're gonna be using AppLab, which is something from code.org. Some of you might be familiar with it. Hopefully you are from the last session. But let's go ahead and go there. Let me get my screen sharing here. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to studio.code.org/projects. And this is, I'm going to put this in the chat. There we go. And this will bring you to the projects page for code.org's, their studio, which has a number of different types of things that you can create with. So AppLab being one of them. They also have something called Artist, Sprite Lab, and Game Lab. But we're going to work with AppLab. And so you might have to sign in. So if you have to do that, go and put in your sign in for code.org. But I'm going to click on the AppLab. Well, actually, let me just say, here below, if we scroll down, that's where you'll have all of your different projects that are saved here for your code.org projects. And we're going to create a new project. So let's click on AppLab and it'll open up the AppLab editor here, and we can create a new project. So let's let mine load here. There we go. So this is just to reorient people, this is our AppLab. We have here on the left, this is our screen. So it's, you know, trying to mimic like a telephone screen or something like that for AppLab, for our app. In the middle is our toolbox, which has all the different blocks, the controls that we'll be using for creating our code for our app, for developing our app. And on the right is our workspace. And so this is where we will put all of our code and all of our different things. Now there's a couple different modes that we can be in. So we can be in the code mode. So here on the top left, we can be looking at the code, and that gives us this toolbox of the blocks that we can use. And there's the design mode as well. If we click on that, this allows us to create the look of our app. This allows us to add buttons and text and pictures and all of those types of things onto the screen for our app. And then the last section is data. So the data library is one that there's a number of different data sets that code.org has added to this. You can see, you know, there's a lot of different things about geography or animals or politics, science, all sorts of different things that you can drill down to get information about these things, okay? I don't think we're gonna look at that today, but let's go to the design section, the design mode of it. And let's create an app today. Let's start by trying to think about, I think last time we created an app that was kind of a choose your own adventure type of app, and also an app that was for clicking on an image of an animal and make the sound of that animal. So those are the kind of apps we did last time. This time, let's do one that's kind of a quiz to start with, and think about how we can make like a quiz app, so that if we ask people questions, and if they get it right, they go to the screen that says, yay, you got it right. If they got it wrong, go to one that says, well, sorry, that wasn't correct. So let's think about that one first. So in our design mode, on this front screen, we can create something that maybe is like the introduction to our quiz game. And so let's add some text here on the, just on the top here. So we're going to grab this label one, and we'll put it here. And you can see that it brings up a text box. We can click on it to change its size. If we want to drag the size of that box, we can make it bigger. We can grab the box and move it around to a different place. But I'm just going to put it here in the middle. And for the text itself that's in there, I'm going to go over to the properties window in my workspace. And I'm gonna click on the text and I'm gonna say, maybe I'll just call it, maybe I'll just call it My Quiz. And we can change the size of this. So if I scroll down to the font size, I can make the font size bigger. Since it's bigger, I'm gonna make my window a little bit bigger so that I can fit it all in one line. We can change the text color. So I'm gonna come here and change the text color to bluish color. I'll make it blue. That's great. And I think that's pretty good for that. I'm going to click onto my screen here. So if I click off of that text box there and just click on my screen, you'll notice over here in the properties, I have it says screen 1 as the ID. And I'm going to change the background color of my screen, actually. So it's white right now. Maybe I'll make it a yellowish color. That's a little bit dark. Make it a little bit brighter. All right, so I've got my quiz front page there. And I want to have a button that when I click it, it'll actually go to the first question. So I'm going to add a button here, right here at the top. I'm going to grab that and drag it over to put it here in the middle. And let's change the color of this button. I'm going to make it reddish, maybe. There we go. How about a reddish color? And instead of it saying button, I'm going to say start. I'll have this be my start button to start the quiz. Okay. And you can do whatever you want to kind of gussy this up, make it however you want. But we're going to create a new screen. So this is the first screen. And let's go to the next one. So I'm going to go to over to my app here on the side and go to drop down menu and do new screen. So this is going to be screen 2. And we can always change the ID of these. So my first one, if I want to go back and forth between these, I can click on the drop down and go back to screen 1 or to screen 2. And we can change the ID of these. And sometimes it's nice to do that for things just to help you keep track. These are just the default names of it, but any of these elements that you add, you can change the names of them. And I sometimes advise that for people. That way you can keep track of what thing is what. So I'm going to just call this question 1. Or yeah, how about question 1? Question 1. And let's add a label at the top. This will be my text for my question here. And I'm going to say, what about maybe which planet is closest to the sun? Question mark. There we go. And I need to resize my box here so that it will fit the whole text into it. And actually, I'll make this a little bit bigger, the text. All right. So this is my first one. Again, I can change the background color if I want. Maybe I'll make the background color. I'll make the background color a darkish color, and I'm going to change my text so it's a light color. And so now that we have that, let's get a radio button to put on there, okay? So the radio button is one that, so if you have a checkbox, which is the one here, people can check more than one thing at a time. A radio button is where it's going to be one thing or another. So I'm going to have 4 different possible answers. So I'm going to grab 4 different radio buttons here to put on this. Okay. And you'll notice each one of these radio buttons, if I click on it, it'll bring up the, in the properties box over here, I've got radio button 1, radio button 2, radio button 3, and so on, okay? And now let's add a, for each one of these, let's create a text box that'll go with it, okay? So I'm gonna add a button next to it here for each one of those, okay? And for these buttons, we can change different things on it. So for instance, if you change the border radius, what that does is if we add that up, notice as I increase this, the kind of shape of the button gets more rounded, right? If I want it to be a more square type of button, I can decrease the border radius or increase it to make it be something that's more rounded of a button. And the colors, maybe I'll make this one. Oh, I don't want the border color. That's not what I want it to do. Let's go to the background color. That's what I want. That's good enough color. So I'll do something like that. And for this one, let's, the text, instead of it being button, just saying button, we'll put one like Earth. And let's create another button. Actually, one thing that I want to do here is let's create another button that's similar to this one. And so we can duplicate this button. So over on the far right, you'll see there's options to delete or duplicate, things like that. Let's duplicate it. And actually, I'm going to do that a couple times. So I've got my 4 buttons here, and I will put them, space them out so that they are next to the, let's make these buttons. That one big. Let me see what the. So if I want to change the size of it, I can grab, if you can, grab the corner and make it smaller. But if you're having problems with that, you can also click on it and you'll notice you can change the height and width. And so I accidentally grabbed the corner on that one, but let me check. So these other ones are width and height is 12. So I want to make this one 12 as well, just to make it the same size as the others. And oops, I did it again. Keep grabbing that corner instead of grabbing the box. So for each of these different ones, I'm going to change the text on it. So I'll have Earth, I'll have Mars, I'll have, maybe I'll make this one Saturn. The last one I'll have be Mercury. So for each of these buttons, we're going to make it so that, sorry, I keep accidentally grabbing the corner of that. And I'll put one more button at the end on the bottom here. And this will be, I'll call this one the text, I'll say submit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get all of our pages together, all of our ones together, and then we'll look at the code on how we get them to do what we want them to do on it. Okay. So So I've got my first page, which is the intro screen. I've got my second page, which is the question. And then I'm going to have to add one more screen here. And we'll have this one be one that says, congratulations, you're correct, or something like that. So I'm going to say, put a label on here that says, yay. Oops, click the text. Yay. We'll make this background. So we'll make the font bigger. It's in the center. There we go. I'm going to align it to be in the center. There we go. And let's put an exclamation point after that. And we'll make the background, make it like a reddish color. Yeah, you're correct. A little bit. There we go. For this, let's make it darker text. Okay, so that's the third screen, and I'll put, instead of label 3, I'm going to label it correct. And we'll have one more screen here, new screen. And this one will be one if they get it incorrect. And we'll do a label on it that says, sorry. Font size, make that bigger. And I'm going to add a button here that says, try again, maybe. Add a button, and in the text, I'll have it be try again. And just change the background screen here. Color, make that be a light red also. And make this text a little bit darker. So now I've got my 4 screens here, okay? The screen 1, which is the intro, question, and then the different screens for them being correct or incorrect. And actually, let me, instead of screen 3, I'm going to change the ID to correct. It's not letting me add the T in there for some reason. Just say right. There we go. All right. And screen 4, we'll have this one be this one. So those are my different screens. So now let's look at the code that we're going to be using for some of these different things. So let's go to the first page here, my screen 1, and let's go to our code section. So this button 1 here, and if you ever want to know what any section, any component is called, you can just hover over it. You'll notice, so I put my cursor over this one is label 1. If it's just anywhere not within that, that text box, it shows screen 1. If I come over this, that's button 1, all right? So for the coding here, we're gonna have to create code to control what happens when we press buttons or do different things. So in the user interface control, the UI controls toolbox, this one right here on event is your big friend, okay? On event is one that you're gonna be using often, okay? So on event, and in this case, what we wanna have happen on this event is that when we click button 1, and that's this start button here, if I wanted to change it so that it's labeled start instead of button 1, I could have done that, but I can always hover over it to find out. So on event button 1 click, then we're going to do something. And what we're going to do is set screen, I think is what it's called. There's that set screen. So scroll down at user interface controls to the very bottom, this one that says set screen, and that one underneath. And so the workspace here, it's going to just start building from top down. And you're going to read it from the top down. So here's saying that on the event that button 1 is clicked, we're going to set the screen, not to screen 1, we want to set it to question 1. Okay. So that will then, when I press this button, it's going to go to the question 1 screen. Okay. So there we go. All right. So there's that. If I wanted to run it, I could do that. I can go to screen run and click run, and we can test it out. I can come over to my start button, press that, and we see it takes me there just like I wanted it to. Okay. All right. So now let's add something that when we, let me move this button here, design screen, question 1. Let's try to move this button. Hopefully I can do this without making it big.
So I had the same challenge with those little radio buttons. I noticed that on my cursor, it became a hand. And once I saw the hand on there, then I was able to grab it. Otherwise, it's like, then it's just all over the place. That was the trick.
Thank you. Yeah, when they're really small, it's hard to get the right, well, I'll just leave it as big, but yes. So when it's a hand, you can grab it. When it's the pointer there, that's showing that it's going for the edge part, but I can't seem to make it smaller with the pointer. Anyways, so let's go back to our code here. And so now we want to do something with the radio button things, okay? So so we're going to add another on event. So let me scroll up, on event. And so instead of in this one, I'm going to say radio button 1. Or actually, here's what I want to do. That we can make it so that when I click on the what's it called, the button. So in this case, the earth one is button 2. On event button 2 is clicked. We want it to check the radio button. Let's see. So let me scroll down. It will be, I think it's get checked is the get checked. Here we go. Get checked. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Take that one out. Set checked. Oh, set checked. There we go. So we have two different things here, right? We have our buttons, which is the one that says Earth, and then we have our radio button, which is the things, the circles on the side. Okay, so we want to make it so that when we click on one of the buttons, the Earth button, it's going to set that first one as checked. Okay, so on event button 2 is clicked. That's the Earth button. Then set. Set checked. Which one is it? Radio button 2. Go back to my design to check these. Radio button 1. And actually, I'm just going to shorten these names to help me. So I'm going to call this one Radio 1. Oops. Radio 1. For this next one, I'm going to make it Radio 2. Let's just make it a little easy for typing these in later. Make this one Radio 3. And the last one, Radio 4. There we go. So let's go back to my code. Set radio 1 to be true. All right. So on event button 2 clicked, set radio check, radio 1 true. And then we'll do the same thing for button 3, which is this one, button 4, and button 5 for making the radio buttons to go. And so one thing to kind of copy this, one thing we can do is we can go to the text version of this. So this uses JavaScript. Well, so right now we're using blocks to be able to build our code. But if we go to the show text button here on the top right, it creates the JavaScript ones here. And so this here, this on event button 2 click, right? That function there, I can copy that and take it down, oops, and paste it. So just Control C to copy, Control V to paste. And so I'm going to do that 3 times. So I have 4 copies of that, and they're all the same right now. And I'm going to go back to blocks. And so now it gives me those. So I could have just, kept dragging the blocks in and building it up again. But a quick way to copy something is to go over to the show text, copy it and paste it. And that will give you extra ones here. So I'm going to change this one from button 3 and to radio 2. And this one to button 4. This one's radio 2. Oops, radio 3. This one to button 5 and radio. There we go. So now we've got for each of our different ones that when we click on one of these, it should set that to be on. And so if we go to run, let's test it out. Let's click on this, it brings us here. If I click on that one, I click on this one. And so for each one of these, when I click on the button, it now is making that the radio button be the one that's selected, okay? So now we want to have something to check that when we click the submit button, we want to make it go either to the, we want to either go to the right page or the wrong page, depending on what the answer was that they had there, right? So if we're going to set it so that if it's on, and so Mercury, by the way, is the answer. So if button radio 4 is selected, then we want it to go to that page that says the right page, okay? If any of these other ones are selected, it's going to go to the other page, the one that's the wrong page, all right? So to do that, we're going to do another on event. Bring it down here. On event, that button, that's this button 6, the submit button. Is set as due. We're going to, we want to, let's see, what is it? We're going to go to, we want it to get checked. So these ones set the check for the radio ones. We want to have it go to one of the other pages. And so for that, we're going to look at, is it functions? No, it's not. It's still under user interface, I think. Let's find the right button here. Oh, where's the get checked? Here it is. Get checked. Okay, it's that one. Oh, it's not that one. Try this back on. Well, we want to get it to set a well, we want to set the screen. So let's go to screen ID. here. And we want to do the get checked one, but let's see. Sorry, I haven't done this in a while. Let me try and remember how it is that we're gonna have it check the radio button. We want it to, when we click, when button sets is clicked, we want to set the screen to a certain one, but we want to only do it in a certain, when a certain one is selected. And I know that the one that we want is the get checked one here. So this is one that's going to get the state of a checkbox for radio button. And all right, let me stop sharing for just a minute. Go ahead and work on yours. Let me look this up really quickly just to figure out what the button is. My apologies. Let me get this back up. But go ahead and add to your, go ahead and play around with your settings of your app to see what, change colors or size. You can move things around a little bit on it while I quickly check this. Oh yeah, here it is. Sorry about that. All right, let me share my screen again. All right, so what we want is, sorry, it's in controls, not user interface controls that I was looking for. So we're gonna need the if statement here to see if button radio 4 is selected, then we're gonna send it to there. Okay, so we're gonna bring an if statement here, put it inside this, okay? So if the, and we're gonna add a math function. We're gonna do the equals, put it in there. We're gonna say that if the radio button, if the radio button for Mercury, which is radio 4, there we go. 4 equals true. Then we're going to set screen to the right page. Otherwise, let me add one here, else. So in other instances, so that it's not true if any of these other ones is true, then we're going to set the screen to set screen. Set screen to screen wrong. There we go. Okay. So I think that's it. So here on the event that button 6 is clicked, if we click the submit button, it's going to check. So if the radio 4 equals true, then we're going to set it's going to send it to the right screen. If not, then we're going to send it to the wrong screen. So let's go ahead and run this and check that that works. So click on the start button. Uh-oh. Why isn't my going? What did I do? Did I do something here for button 1? Set screen to question 1. Why isn't it going to my next one? Ooh, a little bit of troubleshooting that has to happen now. Let's see what's going on. Why isn't it? So let's go to my debug controls and see. Wake. Let's continue. Click on that. Why isn't it going to there? It's working before. 6 click. Let's see, are others getting the same problem that I'm having, that it's not? Okay. Let's see, I'm going to take this event out and my things seem to have stopped working. Let me go ahead and let's see. So I'm going to go back to my project page. So this thing that I have here, whatever I was making, it should be saved. It's an untitled project right now, but I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it quiz. Save. And then let me just exit out. I'm going to go to my projects and I'm going to reopen it just to see if there was something going on with that. So I'm going to reopen my page, my project. And let's run it. Let's see that. Okay. So I'm getting those things to work. All right. Looks like I just needed to exit out of it. So let me rebuild that last part. So on event button, I think it's 6 is clicked. Let's do an if statement. And we'll do a math statement equals if, what is it? The get checked. Radio or equals true. And we'll send it to screen. Right. Otherwise, we'll go to set screen wrong. All right. Now let's reset. Let's run. There we go. Let's click on that one, submit, and it takes me to yay correct. Let's go back and restart this. And let's check the other one. So I say this one's selected, and it takes me to the wrong one. There we go. Sorry about that. Took a little while, and I just had to restart. So if it's unresponsive, sometimes exit. It's just like seems to be the thing with things when they're unresponsive, right? Just reboot it. Sometimes that fix whatever bug was in there. So I just made sure to save my project, exit out, and then was able to just open it up and do it again. So one last thing, I have this try again button, and we need to do something for that, right? So for try again, we'll probably want it to send it back to the beginning of the quiz. So let's do one last on event, and this is on event. Let's reset. So that is on my wrong screen, and that is button 7. An event that button 7 is pushed. Button 7 is clicked. Then we're going to send it to the set screen to the question page. Go back to the question page. There we go. So that should be my app. So let's run it. Start there. Let's say it's Earth. Submit. It's running correct. Try again. And it takes me back to this. And so then I can try out a different one. If I get Mercury, hey, you're correct. So that's the beginnings of a quiz. If you wanted to add another question, we would have to create another page, right? So we go up here, we create another screen. Oops, let's go to the design one. We add a new screen for question 2. And to get to that, you would probably have it be that after you get to the right question or even to the wrong one, you could have another button. Instead of try again, you would say, go to next question. And then you would have that one send it to the question 2 page and so on. So you keep building up those types of things. So that would be the beginnings of how to make like a quiz type of app. For any of these apps, once you are done with it, you know, for any app, you want to be able to actually use it like on a phone or a device, something like that, not just here on the computer. So what we would do is we would publish this and share it, right? So for that, what we could do for our app, I'm going to run here. You can see it works here, but I want to share it. So what I would do is I would go right up here above this. So next to rename, there's one that says share. So I'd click on the share button and it would give you a link that you can copy. So if I wanted to just copy this link and I could email it to somebody or put it in the chat here, but I can also send it to a phone, right? So if I say send to a phone, it's going to ask for a number, or you can use the QR code here. So I'm going to send it to me. So here's my number. I'm going to send it to me. There we go. So it is sent. And so that means that on my, well, let me stop sharing this. On my phone here, I just got my notification for it. So let me click on that and click on my notification. It's going to open up my text here. I can click on the text to be able to open up the app that I have. And so there is my quiz app on my phone that I could use. I could click on this to do, and I'll click on that one and submit. Oops, close that. Submit and, oh, sorry, I was incorrect. I'm going to try again. I'll click on that one, submit, and yeah, I got it correct. So there we can, you can share your apps with anybody through that share part. So that's that type of app of how you might be able to do that. So that's how to use the radio buttons. Sorry, it took a little bit. I had to reteach myself how to use the radio buttons there for a minute. So any questions or comments about that, or any hiccups that anybody came across as they were trying to create their quiz app?
I have a question, Kevin. So technically, if all the other questions, let's say we wanted to add another question and it's still with the 4 radio buttons, would you say we could still copy basically the basic code, right? And then just it would make it a lot, I guess it would save time. And then you would just have to change the, I guess, the page or where it's going, correct? But that would be one way that we could do it?
Yeah, yeah, you could copy the code. Pretty much similarly. For any of them, you'll have to change the names of the buttons themselves, right? So you can copy the code, that way you have the basic format of it, but then, you know, and this is where you might want to change the name. So instead of it being, because you would have new radio buttons, right? Instead of it being radio button 1, 2, 3, radio 1, 2, 3, and 4, you'd have radios 5, 6, 7, 8. And then radio, you know, for the next question would be radio 9, 10, 11, 12. And so in your code, you'd have to make sure that you're changing it so that, you know, when you're pressing this button, it selects radio button 12, for instance. And then whenever it checks for if it's correct or not, you have to make sure you change. That way it's not always the fourth answer isn't always the correct one, right? But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I highly advocate copying and pasting. Don't waste your time trying to recreate it all the time, you know. Make it easy on yourself to do that. And like I said, the easy way to copy and paste is by switching over to the text mode and copying and pasting instead of keeping it in the button mode. Any other questions? No? All right. Well, let's look at just something a little bit more here that we could do. Let me share screen again. Let's say we want to add some pictures or something like that to our app here. Okay, so let's say I want to on my code. Let's go to the design part. Let's say on my, you know, this one, I want to have it to have more than just like, yay, you're correct. Maybe I want to put in some sort of image on here with it as well. So let's go, let me just do a correct GIF. Let's do something like that. Let's go to images here and let's add something here. Let's just do like this one, okay? So we've got some different GIFs here that we can use. And so there we go, that is correct, okay? So let's get this GIF. So I'm gonna just click on this and, oops. Let's go back, actually. And I'm just gonna copy this one. So I'm gonna save image as, and let's just do this on my desktop. All right, so now I've just saved this GIF here. Let me go back to my app lab, and I want to add an image to my thing here. So I'm going to click on the image, bring it over here, and it just brings an image kind of box there. I'm going to click on it, and right here you get to choose what the image is going to be. So I'm going to choose a file. So I'm going to go to my files, upload a file, or I could link to an image. So if there's an image online, I could have linked to it, but I downloaded that GIF to my desktop. So I'm just going to open that. And so that is the GIF that I'm using, choose. And there it is. Let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay. And so now my, my page here has an image on it that's a GIF. So if I just go over to run, let's do start, Mercury submit, and there, now I've got that on my app. Okay. So feel free to go ahead and try and add an image to one of your pages. It could be to your correct page, to your wrong page, or even just to the very beginning. Or you could even have an image on your questions one. But the thing is that this app that I created, that link that I sent to my phone, it gets updated as I update the app, right? So that link is to this app that I am creating. And so as I'm making changes to it, it automatically does it. So if I go to my phone, stop sharing really quick. If I go to my phone and my app that I have there, if I click on start and Mercury correct, it's already updated there. So any changes that I now make to my app, this link that I sent out earlier, this is the link to that app. And so it'll be updated automatically immediately once I make those changes to my app. Okay. So it's your apps that you're creating are dynamic. You don't have to resend out that link to somebody. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes just to make some changes or modifications, additions to your app. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll make some changes to mine as well. Stop sharing, actually. And let me just say that I find that GIFs, so the ones that are kind of like animated pictures, they can really add a lot to things. You know, just regular still images are nice as well, but sometimes for apps, people are kind of expecting them to be a little more interactive, dynamic. So a GIF can kind of convey some of that without having to do much on your part, right? So often I'll just search for GIFs online, and it's amazing what's out there that people have made of these things, like that one that I just had for the correct thing. So that's something else that you can use. All right, let me just do a quick check-in. How's it going with everybody? How are folks' quizzes going, their apps?
Still playing with it.
That's all right. You know, this is just a first crack at it, right?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to put their if they want to share theirs, go ahead and put it in the chat. Oh, yeah, it is a little bit challenging. I totally get that. It's a little bit. It's definitely time consuming, first of all, but also it's challenging to. First of all, I find that the idea is the hardest part. Like, what is it that I want my app to do? What do I want to make it be? And so, so go ahead if anybody wants to put theirs in the chat. I think we'd all love to see what others are creating. I'm gonna put my link in the chat as well. So if anyone wants to see mine, let me copy this. Chat. So there's mine. And I added another GIF for the incorrect one that people can see if they want to. And you'll notice that when you share it, people can view it like on a computer, on a web browser. And then you can modify it. You can use what they have created, and you can kind of import it into your projects page and make modifications to it and make your own version of it. So for example, let me share my screen here. So this is my quiz. That link that I just put in the chat, when I click on it, it brings up this page, right? So it has my quiz that I can do. And actually, I should have a button to restart on there. But let me just reload that to get back to the beginning. Start, let's make it a wrong one, submit. And then, so I can do the quiz here, but I can also view the code if I wanted to. And I could also, if I wanted to, make it my own. And so when I make it my own, what it does is it will import it into AppLab, and or it will bring up AppLab. And I can, oops, where is it? Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. If I go to my projects, it'll have it there, I believe. Oh, no, it didn't.
I tried to import it or make it mine, but it didn't show up on my platform, only in my projects. And I realized that I didn't title my little quiz one as I was following you.
Okay.
And then I clicked on Anita's as well to see hers, or the one that she posted, but it just takes me to my account, but I don't see hers.
Yeah.
I'm only able to open yours.
Huh.
But it didn't transfer over to my account when I try to make my own.
Yeah.
And like I said, with Anita's, when I click on hers, it takes me to my projects, but I don't see hers. I only see mine.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if it's because I haven't published this yet, or if you haven't published it. So right now, what we're doing is we're creating our things, we're doing our things. We could share it with folks, but I wonder if we need to publish it for people to be able to access it that way. So if we wanted to publish this, right? I think it's here. No, it's not there.
I think that's what you did last time, Kevin. You published it and then you shared it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think if we click the share button, there's the option to send it phone or to publish. And so let's publish it first, and then we can share that link. And it should, I believe, then it'll be available for others to be able to edit it. So I'm going to click publish. And so what this does is it uploads things to the public gallery so that anybody on AppLab would be able to search, lots of people who've published their little creations like this. So mine's published now. And so if I share it, I think it's the same link. So now I should be able to click on that link and go to my chat. And where's mine? So now if I do make my own, let's see if that allows me to then, no, it's still not doing it. I'm not sure why it's not doing that, to be honest. It should be that whenever you click on the, make it your own, it should open it in your AppLab so that you can remix it. They call it remixing, so that you can make it your own. And I'm not sure why it's not doing that, to be honest. Let me see if it's the same link there.
Would you have to designate it as being, when you publish it, does it become a public?
It does. Yeah.
The section there that says public projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
it'll be available then or there.
would it be there? Maybe.
Yeah, but you should still be able to access it from this link. So I mean, we can search there as well. Oh, yeah, mine is up here. I'm going to share my screen. So yeah, so if you go to the public page, so if you go to projects, let me click on here. If I go to projects, and then this has my projects here, and you can see my quiz one is published now. I can unpublish if I click that. But if I go to public projects, then you can see the different ones that folks have done, and they're in different sections. Let's go to the App Lab, view more App Lab projects, and there's mine right there that I just put up. It looks like there's some others who've added stuff even in those a few minutes between then and now. So there's lots of different projects that people put out that you can see. And this is a good way to be able to see what some other people have put out and how they're constructing their code for things. Like here's somebody who's created a Wordle one. I'm curious how that works. But I can click on mine here and it'll open up my project that I just made. There we go. And I can view the code. Let's see if that opens it up. Yeah, I guess clicking view the code might be the one to do instead of make it my own, because then it'll open up here and you can rename it to what you want and create your own version of it. All right. Stop sharing there. So any questions? Anyone want to share theirs? Nobody's wanting to share theirs. That's all right.
I cannot.
Yeah, that's okay.
We just need more time. I'm like, it's the end of the day and trying to process make it happen. I would like to, but you're right, Kevin. Coming up with an idea, I think, is the challenge, of, okay, what I really want to do, or what can the students do? But, depending on their level, then we have to start them at wherever, whatever their if they've had experience with it, then the level of difficulty of the project should be, right there for them to be able to do it with a little bit of challenge. But for me, like, I wouldn't know I don't use apps that much, so I wouldn't even know what I need an app for.
Yeah. I think that it kind of depends also, I guess, on what you're doing within your what projects you're working on or things like that. Because a New Mexico Mesa project might be something that would spark an idea for an app that you would want to have. And so
a couple of years ago, some of the kids made it was for Mesa Day, I think. And the project was something about irrigation or something, but they used MIT apps and they made an app for their phone so that it would warn them when the water, like if the plants needed to be watered or if the temperature was too high, things like that. And they actually published it so that they could show that it would work, in a simulated environment. So, which is really cool, but it did tie into the project. And I think it was a requirement, or maybe it was just like something like, well, if you do that, then it might help, right? And do a website. So just to make it seem like it's, you've thought the whole process through, but you're right. It definitely something to do with the Mesa project would help.
But even these simple ones that I went through last time and this time could, just the idea of like a choose your own adventure type of app to have people go through it. Or what was the other one? The other one was, I think last time it was like choosing an animal and it makes a sound of that animal. So it could be something along those lines, or this one here of a quiz like that helps students get familiar with it and some of the basic functions of it. So even giving them that, there's a lot of room within, creating an app of any of those types of ones that they can be creative and go in different directions with it. My son, actually, I have a son in 7th grade, and they weren't using AppLab. It was some other program that they were doing, but they were supposed to make like a choose your own adventure type of thing. And he just showed it to me last week. And he was really proud. He was really excited about it and wanted me to go through it. And so, just something simple like that can really get them interested in it and working with the code and putting it together, thinking about the logic of, what do I want it to do? What do I want it to do? And then how do I make it do that is, kind of the key part of coding is to set that out and think about the logic that, okay, if I push this button, I want it to do this. I want it to change to this screen, or I want it to make this happen. And so, once they have their idea of what their app is, sometimes just talking it out just in regular words and thinking about it in those terms can then help them figure out, when I try and code it, this is what I need it to do, because these are the steps I want it to go through. And sometimes even writing it out in kind of a flowchart form can be really helpful, especially if you have a large or even a small one, have an app. So, kind of a flowchart where, you start with this screen. You can even draw it out like a box for this screen. And then I have 2 options that are going to branch out to this and this. And so on those branches, on the arms, you can say that, I press the yes button, it's going to take me to this screen. If I press the no button, it's going to take me to this screen, or it can go to, another one that says maybe, it's going to take me to this screen. And so kind of charting it out that way can help them think about, even if they do this before they start coding or even start putting any components on their app design, just charting it out first so that they have an idea of what they want their app to do and what are the different pages that they're going to need to create. How many different screens do they need to have? With the quiz we just did today, it only had 4 screens, right? It had the welcome screen, the question screen, and then the yes, and then, or the correct and the incorrect screen. But if you chart it out, you might have to figure out you're going to need like 30 screens or something like that, pages that it's going to go to.
Kevin, I have a question. I actually had my kids do the first part of the app, and they went crazy with the sounds. They have a cow, but they have actually a steak in the picture.
Okay.
And they have different sounds for the different picture, and they'll have all kinds of justifications. They were actually excited about it. But it took a hard time to like push them out. And now we have a question. I cannot answer their question. So okay. They wanted to, like, if you press this, like if you're ordering something, there's confirmation, there should be a back thinking that, yeah, indeed it was received, and then they will deliver it. So they be like, is there a way that I don't know, they wanna, okay, so I receive an order. So we will think it through if that is possible to deliver, and then it will send out a yes. Something like that, or that it's not possible, or it's out of stock, so we cannot deliver it. So I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Yeah, so that would be similar to like what we just showed. Let me just show my screen again. So it's gonna be similar to this on event and then check. So this if statement. So what you would need to do in that instance is, so for their app, they would want to have, I'd have to think through this a little bit more to figure out the exact steps of it. But essentially, you would have something that, so right now, this is just checking if this radio button is checked. If that's true, then it's going to send to this screen that says right, or to this screen that says wrong, right? So what you would want to have is they would want to have, I guess, if it's like for ordering something, your inventory, right? So that you know how many of your inventory of whatever the widget is that you have, okay? And you would have to have a certain number in there of what the inventory is. Say you have 20 of the things, and you would have it so that when somebody clicks on it and says submit, you would have that inventory decrease by one. And you would have to have it check. So you would say if, and in this case, it wouldn't be get checked. It would be, I can't remember, I'm not sure what it is right now, but you would want to see you'd have a variable. You would create a variable, and if your variable is equal to 0, then you would have it show a screen that says, sorry, we're out of stock, we're not able to do it. Otherwise, it would send it to a screen that says, we got your order, and we'll deliver it soon, something like that. Okay, so in that instance, you would want to create a variable for whatever it is that you have, and you could have a number of different things. If you have a number of different products that you're doing, you'd have one variable for one thing, one for another, and if any of those, you would have a check to see if that variable is equal to 0, then you'd send them to the screen that says, I'm sorry, we can't fulfill that order right now.
And this is on the customer side, right? Is there what is on the, for example, that's the customer side, the one who's ordering. How about on the, let's say, the restaurant side? What do they have? What can they see?
So, I'm not sure about that. I would say that you might have a, so for that, you would probably be able to create a page that is kind of password protected in a sense. And so you'd create another screen that is one that keeps track on it of what your inventory is, or of things of that nature.
Oh, so that's only limited to who owns the app, right?
Yeah.
Do we do the password protection?
So that would be essentially, so let me just add a page here. Let's see, we have time. Yeah. So let's just create a page here. Let me just add a screen really quickly. New screen. And let me just add 2 screens here. So let's say that on this screen, screen 2, I'm going to add a text input box here. And for the text input box, this is just, okay, let's put one up here. I'm just going to put on here password. Okay. And so this text input box, if I run it, it's just a box. Oh, never mind. Hold on. Let's go back to my design, because I can't get to that page right now from my code as it is. But a text input box is one that you put, you'd click on it and allows you to put text into it, right? And so what you're going to do is you're going to have it so that it's going to check to see what the text is in there, and if it equals what you've set as your password, then it's going to send you to the screen that you want it to. So on this, for my code, I would say, what is this input box one? So on event, oh, actually, let's do it like this. Let's go to my design. Let's put a button here, submit. And now I'll go to my code and say that on event that
text input.
So I don't want it there. On event, put it underneath. There we go. On event that text input box, or no, on event that, which one is that?
Text
button
input.
8. Button 8. So when I press button 8, when I click on that, I'm going to say that if text input box equals, let's go to math, equals, and then we'll go to if get text from the text input box, text input 1, and that equals, maybe I'll say my password is turtle or something like that. Okay. If it equals turtle, then we're going to send you to screen, whatever that last screen, was screen 3. Okay. Then it's going to send you to screen 3. So that's how you would do a password, that it's only if it equals this password that you've put in your code, then you're going to be able to go to the next screen, to that screen. Okay. And so let's move this stuff around. I'm going to put this, oops, to, let's just go here. Question 1, or not question 1, screen 1. Let's just, I'm just going to put a button to send me to the screen 2, design button. We'll just leave it as button, and I'll say the code on event of button, what is that? Button 9. Button 9, click, send me to screen. Screen 2, I think, is the one that had the password in. So there we go. So now if I run this, click on button 2, it sends me to here. Now if I click on this and I'll type in my password, I'll say turtle, submit. Oops, oh, I misspelled it. See, I have 2 R's, so I'll do submit, and nothing happens, right? If I wanted to, I could then say, I can add to this and say, right here, I can add to it and say else, and then maybe I'm going to have it, I could send it to a screen that says, you know, password incorrect.
Type your password again.
Okay. But let's go over, let's reset. Let's go here. And I don't have anything on oops, man. I don't have anything on screen 3, but now I'll put it in correctly, TURTLE, and submit. And then, oops.
Turtle.
Can't figure out what turtle is. Oh yeah. So let's add this to, let's put quotes in there. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Put quotes in there.
That was a common error too.
There we go. Run. Then it takes me to screen 3, which is blank right now. But that's how you would do something with a password.
I have another question. Sorry.
Go for it.
Is there a way that if you press one button, it will send a text message to somebody else? A predetermined number.
I'm not sure. There might be in there somewhere. I haven't done that. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up and see if there is.
Sorry, I just passed on my questions.
No, that's fine.
Those are the questions I had. So
but that's something. That's something I'll look into to see about things like that. Yeah, I'm not sure right off the top of my head.
Okay. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I think we're at the end today. So hopefully you enjoyed it. There's lots of projects that are out there. Actually, if you just look up like code.org App Lab projects, there are a bunch out there. There's some folks that have video tutorials for it. You can, on that project page, you know, the public projects, you can look through those and see what other people have made, and maybe something like that could give you an idea, spark an idea of an app that you want to do, or you can just take one of theirs and make modifications to it. but that can be a good way to just kind of learn some of the different features about App Lab. And we will be having next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 3:30, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's it. 3:30 to 4:30.
Yep. 3:30 to 4:30. We'll have some, I don't know, we're calling them office hours that I'll be available and on screen to answer questions just like we did right now with that about passwords.
And also on those dates for those help desk hours, students are encouraged to pop in if needed also. So particularly as that's the last week before we have our deadlines for Mesa Day and Mesa USA. So although the coding is more related to Mesa USA, but if you have any teams that will be competed and need any final assistance, I would really highly encourage them to pop in and ask some questions.
Yeah.